This is Michael Govier from the Is It Safe podcast, and you are now clear for communication with Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes, and while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 226, 1988 Pop Culture Fantasy Draft. Chris McBrien along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. And we are back with another pop culture fantasy draft. We like to combine fantasy sports and pop culture here every once in a while, and we're doing it again this week. Derek and I are each going to draft a team of 3 movies, 3 TV shows, 3 songs, and 1 personal pick, all from the year 1988. But before we get into the draft, Derek, any pop culture you've been able to get to this past week?
Oh, yeah. Tons and tons and tons of stuff. I had a busy week in the terms of pop culture. So I've actually been on vacation, summer vacation for a few weeks, and I'm back at work this week. But knowing my vacation was coming to an end, I felt I had to jam pack as much pop culture and fun stuff into those last few days.
Sure.
And so yeah, I had a chance to watch a bunch of stuff. And honestly, there's a couple of things that I watched over the last couple of weeks that when we did our last few shows, I just forgot to mention, or I didn't feel we had time. So I'll start going down my list, and I'll get as many of these in as I can. May have to do some speed round just to get the list completed, but I'll start with some new stuff. So, or at least new for me. So brand new, just dropped on Disney Plus in the last week, is a movie called Prey. And we're talking like Predator and Prey, not like down on your knees to pray to God kind of thing. So Prey, it is actually a prequel to the Predator franchise with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like that Predator series. This movie takes place like 200 years before the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. And it was okay. I mean, it was a very simple sort of premise. It actually is very similar beats to the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, where it's like the Predator alien is there, and the locals, in this case, they're like a local Native Americans before like the colonialism came in, and it's sort of their lands, and the Predator's on it. And then when they realize like, oh boy, there's something here that's bigger than a bear, the hunter becomes the hunted kind of deal. And if you've watched the previous Predator movies, because there's a bunch of them that have been out in the last 10 years, they put out a bunch of sequels. But even if you like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, this one sort of hits a lot of the same notes. If you like those other ones, you'll probably care for this. If maybe you haven't seen a lot of the sequels, as Chris, or you probably haven't seen any of the sequels.
No,
but you are at least familiar.
Oh no, wait a minute. You know what? Oh, I saw the original, and then I remember a friend of mine and I went to see a movie called Alien versus Predator years ago. Yeah, it's really.
I guess
sucked.
technically, yeah, it was. I mean, technically, I guess those AVP ones are part of this franchise as well. But I think the idea here is Disney had this intellectual property, and they thought, here's a way to reboot this franchise. So I mean, it's on Disney Plus. If you got,
it's Disney, what we call an origin story.
Sure. And again, it's a 2022 production, so the special effects are fantastic, but everything's digital, unlike the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, where pretty much everything was practical effects, or there was a lot of practical effects. It was
all pretty much practical.
Yeah. But in any case, it was okay. I would say probably a C+, B-, sort of good, but not fantastic.
Yeah.
And it'll come down to how much do you enjoy the Predator franchise? How close to your heart is that particular franchise? For me, I could take it or leave it. It's okay. So
you know what? I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah. All right. Another new one, or at least new to me, because I finally got it for free through Amazon Prime, was a movie called Uncharted. This is based on a very popular video game franchise. It stars Tom Holland, who most people know as Spider-Man in the new Marvel movies. It also has Mark Wahlberg, who many of us remember as Marky Mark from the Funky Bunch. Come on.
And
yeah, exactly. It was okay. Again, it's so many movies that are inspired by video games sort of fall flat. This one was, again, very much just okay. It had some neat sequences. I did a lot of reading on it after I watched the movie, and there's a lot of like wink wink Easter eggs if you are familiar with the video game franchise it's based on. Of course, I was not, because I'm not a big video game guy. So those little sequences or special effects or scenes where there's certain things happen or certain props are in the moment that are from the game. If you play the game, you're gonna be like, oh, I totally remember this sequence. It was totally lost on me. But again, it was okay. It didn't cost me anything to watch it over and above my Amazon subscription. So, if you like Tom Holland, you like Mark Wahlberg, you like sort of those cheesy PG rated action movies, doesn't hurt to give it a chance. Lastly, I got a few more things, but I'll limit it for one more. Netflix dropped a new series this week called Sandman, and this is based on a comic book series from DC Comics, created by Neil Gaiman, who he did American Gods, which was recently turned into a TV series. He did Good Omens, which was a TV series on Prime, I think last year or the year before. He has a very interesting and imaginative and creative style where he likes to take things that you might think you're familiar with and really just turn them on their head. He's also the creative mind behind the Lucifer TV series. The Lucifer character from that series actually originated in the Sandman comic books. But in any case, 10 episodes on Netflix, dropped last week, Sandman. I've watched 9 of the 10 episodes, and I think it's great. The pacing is a little slower than you might expect. You hear comic book adaptation and you think, oh, this is going to be like the Avengers. It's nothing like the Avengers. It is very slow. It's very paced. It's very deliberate. And that is very much the style of Gaiman's writing. And if you've seen or are familiar with any of the other works that have been adapted from his fiction, this is right in that same vein. But Sandman is sort of his crown jewel. When people who are familiar with his work talk about him, this is almost always the first thing they bring up is, oh, yeah, that's the guy who did Sandman. And it's fantastic. So I'm really looking forward. When we're done this podcast, I'm going to sit down and watch the 10th and final episode and then cry myself because we're going to have to wait another year to get 10 more episodes. So those were my picks for this week.
Okay, I got a couple things for you. Number one, being as we did Inside Man, the movie review last time out, I got a message from somebody. I'm going to read it here. I'm not going to mention who it's from. Okay,
I'm guessing I'll know because I probably got the same message.
It's just from somebody who does listen to the show on a regular basis. So the message reads, "Things I thought I'd never hear. 2 men discussing how good Jodie Foster looked." I don't know. I mean, what is it like? Is she not an attractive woman? Like, I don't understand. So back in the 70s, I remember I was like, I don't know, like 8 years old. And I watched Tom Sawyer, and she was in it. She was just a little kid, and she was like a tomboy. She's always been kind of that tomboy, kind of thing. And I thought I always had a crush on her when I was a kid. And I mean, I don't care about her personal life or whatever. I thought I watched Inside Man, and I thought she was a very attractive and powerful and strong woman. So I just mentioned that, and you agreed with me. And apparently when we put those things out there into the world, some people wonder why we do that. But so there's that. And the other thing is, to the surprise of no one, Derek, especially you, I watched Trading Places this week for like the 500 bazillionth time because I love that movie.
Did you watch an uncut version, or did you watch on like AMC with commercials and all the swears and nudity cut out?
I watched it on DVD, so it was good.
There you go.
So this movie is like very fresh in my mind. So now, you know me, Derek, I love quoting Gen X movies. And I especially like quoting Gen X movies to my kids who have no idea what I'm talking about.
Looking good, Billy Ray.
Exactly. But to me, that's half the fun when I quote these old movies to my kids because they don't know what the hell's going on. So anyway, the kids these days, Derek, watch a hell of a lot less TV and a hell of a lot more YouTube. That's like their TV that they watch, right?
That's more akin to their attention span.
Yeah. I mean, and I know this firsthand because I have 2 young sons. So the other night, my 13-year-old son says, "Hey, Dad, come on in here and watch this with me." And he puts this YouTube show on. And the idea is it's like a quiz, and they show you flags of the world. And you have to try and guess the country, right? Now, keep in mind, I have an undergraduate degree in political science, and I went to graduate school, and so I think of myself as being pretty knowledgeable when it comes to geography and various countries of the world. My 13-year-old smoked me.
Really?
Oh, he just killed me. Now, keep in mind, I just watched Trading Places, right? So they're listing all these flags, and my son just keeps naming them all. And then they get to one of them, and my son's like, oh, that's the flag from Cameroon. So I go, Miguel from Cameroon. Ah, yes, the Haile Selassie Pavilion. And my son's like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought it was funny. I don't know. My son really didn't, but
I always, where I thought you were going to go with that was that as a sports guy, because I know you're big fan of sports. I personally, for me, one of the things that really helped me learn the flags of the world was watching the Olympics, because they always show the flags of the participating countries, or when we watch things like the international hockey tournaments, the jerseys are always the color of the country. So you get to know, oh, well, that's the yellow team, and that's the white team with the blue cross. And you're like, well, I know which countries those are based on the jerseys, which are based on their flags. So
I don't know how my son does it, but he sure is good at that stuff. But so I'm not good at flags of the world, but you know what I am good at?
Here's your dad joke of the week.
So for anybody listening to this podcast, you may or you may not know that we affectionately refer to Derek as caveman around here. So I thought that I would do a caveman dad joke for you.
Okay.
Okay, Derek, what do you call a caveman's fart?
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to the answer.
A blast from the past.
Nice.
I should have yelled too.
Gunga Gulunga.
But you get a free bowl of soup when you buy half.
Yeah. Really Cinderella story.
Boy, you must have been something before electricity.
How would you like to earn $8 the hard way?
You know, that Zen Buddhist kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. You'll get nothing and like it.
Hey, did somebody step on a duck?
That would be me.
Not the golfers, the golfers.
I have a qualified yes, I agree.
Okay, so Derek, this is now our 8th pop culture fantasy draft. And coming into this one, I'm ahead 4-3. I think I started out 4-0, and then you just reeled off 3 straight victories. So this time out, we're going to be drafting a team from 1988. So before we get started, we always do the coin flip. So we're going to do the coin flip right now. I'm going to use a loonie for those of our American listeners out there. We have a coin here in Canada called a loonie. It's a little gold coin. It's a $1 coin, and I've just flipped it. Derek, would you like to call it?
I call tails.
Oh, it's heads. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've had a pick first in maybe that's why I've lost the last 3, because I haven't had a first round pick in so long. I wasn't expecting that. I think, okay, so I'm taking a look at 1988. And when I look at it, there's a few movies that are pretty good. The songs are always my weak spot. You always kill me when it comes to music. But normally I've always felt that the movies are the ones where you got to get it. You got to get it right, because I think a lot of the judges, because as we mentioned, we draft at the end of the draft, we're going to send our lists off to our judges, and they're going to vote on the winner. And movies tend to resonate the most when you look back on the years. And it's hard too, because the TV shows aren't necessarily TV shows that were big in 1988. They have to be TV shows that debuted in that year. And I'm going to go a little bit different, and I'm actually going to go with a TV show to start.
You stealing my strategy. This was totally my strategy. I thought I'm going to go against the grain and start with TV.
I've got to, because I think there's a lot of weak TV shows.
Oh my God!
This year.
This is a weak batch in 1988.
And I was never a fan of this show, but it's really the only big show to debut in 1988. So I feel I need to get it onto my list to anchor my TV spot, and that's Roseanne. So I'm going to pick Roseanne first of all. It ran from November 1988 until May of 97. They rebooted it a few years ago, but I think by that point Roseanne was like this right-wing nut job, so the show just didn't do good. But
I think she was in the first season of the reboot, and then things came to light, and they wrote her off her own show.
Right. So I'm gonna go against the grain. Like I said, I'm gonna go with a TV show first. That's Roseanne, so that I can at least anchor that category. And all right, so my first round pick is going to be a TV show, Roseanne. Over to you, my friend.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm definitely going to movies, and I think I know what your number 1 movie pick is, but I can't take it like, often in a draft, you're like, well, I'm taking this because I know he wants it. But I'm like, for me, there's only one movie from 1988, and I got to go with it, and that's Die Hard.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and I think that, it resonates with everyone so much. It's endured for so long because it's that whole, is it a Christmas movie? Is it not? But it seems everybody watches it every year at Christmas time, so it's just endured, and it made Bruce Willis a star. It really did.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's a great pick. I think in that case, I've got to come back with a movie as well.
Yeah.
I really do. There's a couple to go with, but I think I'm really torn on which one I'm going to anchor with. But I think I'm going to actually go with Coming to America.
Yeah, I figured if that was what I was sure was going to be your number one movie pick.
Mm-hmm. I was wavering. There's another one too I like, but Coming to America is like, it's one of those ones. It's so quotable, and it was a bit of a different Eddie Murphy movie because normally up until then he was always kind of the wisecracking, like dropping swears like crazy and F-bombs everywhere. And this one, he wasn't. He was playing this rather more innocent kind of person who didn't swear that much. The only time he swore was when he was repeating back innocently something that he heard someone yell to him.
Yeah.
So it was a real different departure for him. But with John Landis at the helm, even in 1988, they had their problems making the film with all the egos involved and stuff by that point. But you cannot argue with the results. It's a good movie. And it's really, a great movie. I think some of the scenes they put in the barbershop with him and Arsenio Hall playing all these different characters really kind of gave Eddie Murphy the inspiration then for his sort of comeback a number of years later when he did The Nutty Professor, being able to do all these characters. So I think Coming to America is a good way that I can anchor my movie. So that's it. So over to you, my friend.
All right. Well, you've got a TV show and a movie.
Yeah.
I need to have a TV show and a movie. So I'm going to go to this very weak TV category.
Okay.
And I'm also going to take a show that I never watched when it was on and have never watched a day since then, and that is The Wonder Years.
Yeah. You've mentioned before that you didn't really like that show.
It wasn't I never really liked it. I never watched it. It never really appealed to me. Again, maybe if I went back and watched it, I would love it. But I know many people loved it. They watched it. They enjoyed it. They hold it in high regard. Fred Savage went on to have a pretty decent career. I mean, as a child performer, you never know how things are going to play out. And from what I understand, a lot of the supporting cast continued to work in Hollywood for years to come. So, yeah, not a show I'm really that familiar with personally, other than what I know about its involvement as a pulp culture show that debuted in '88. But I need something, and this TV category is pretty weak, so I'm going with The Wonder Years. That's a good one to anchor with. I mean, I thought it was a good show. Like that opening theme, Joe Cocker's version of With a Little Help of My Friends, like that's how you do a cover song right there, by the way. But the whole sentimentality of the whole show, I had a huge crush on Olivia Dabo too, the sister. And when you think about crushes, I think a whole generation of teenage boys had a crush on Winnie Cooper back in 1988. So that's a really good pick. I think that's gonna work in your favor. Okay, do I dip down to songs now or what? No, I think I'm gonna stick with movies. I like this movie a lot. I'm gonna go with Big. Finished 4th at the box office. Probably one of the most enduring films from that year. I think Tom Hanks is kind of the Jimmy Stewart of his generation. Like everybody just loves the guy, right? And he was at the top of his game when he made this. And I think people think of it as a comedy, and it is. But it also kind of plays out as kind of a dramatic film, especially at times. I think you could maybe see where this kind of was the transition point for Tom Hanks to kind of start moving into more like being considered more of a serious actor. Yeah. I mean, certainly that happened with Philadelphia after this, but I'm going to go with Big. I think it's an endearing film. So, and it's enduring as well as endearing. So Big is the pick for me. All right, over to you. All right, I'm going to venture into music. That's where you always get me. And as I was saying before we started the recording, normally my music list is very long. Like I probably put 25 or 30 songs on the list, knowing that the most I'm ever going to need is 6 or 7. Right. This time around, I have a much shorter list. And even on that much shorter list, I do not have a lot of what I feel are standout A+ gold star, gotta get it or else kind of songs. So I'm really not even sure where to begin on this one. So I think I'm going to do what I've done most drafts is I'm just going to pick a song by a big artist that I know is good, that I enjoy, and hope it resonates. And I'm going to pick Bad Medicine by Bon Jovi off the New Jersey album.
That's a good pick.
Again, Bon Jovi, huge artist. This is definitely my favorite song off of, in my opinion, one of his greatest albums. And again, I don't know if it's necessarily the best pick or the number one pick from 1988, but I think it's a strong pick. And I needed to get into that music category just to get my feet wet. So that's my third pick.
That's a good. I'm going to follow you here. I'm going to take a song as well. I'm going to go with Stand by REM. Came off their album Green, which was released in November of '88. It got up to number 6 on the Billboard charts. And of course, it was used in the opening credits of Get a Life with Chris Elliott, that show that I liked so much. So I'm going to go with Stand by REM. I think that's, again, I always try to draft my team so that when you look at it, it's like a slice of 1988. I want it to represent that year as best I can. And I think that song does it. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, no, I agree. That is definitely on my short list, and it was in my top 6. So if you hadn't have picked it now, there's a very strong chance I would have picked it up in the next 10 minutes. I'm going to go back. This has killed me in previous drafts, but I'm going to go back to TV because I think TV is a pretty weak crop.
Yeah, you want to kind of get some more, right?
So I'm going to pick one of the only other shows that I feel is left that had a big name recognition, even though I know some of the judges are going to see this and go, that show sucked. You know what? You can't say that a show sucks if you don't actually know anything about it. So the fact that I think some of our judges are not going to care for the show itself, the fact that there's name recognition, I think is going to help me. So I'm going with Murphy Brown.
No, that's a good pick. That is a good pick.
Again, a show that I never really watched, but did very well and certainly had an audience. And the whole thing with Dan Quayle, when he was vice president of the United States, and he talked about, family values and how you have the character Murphy Brown, a single mom having a kid on TV, blah, blah, blah. And then the way they worked that into the show. And I mean, Murphy Brown is centered. The whole show was like ahead of its time, right? Here's this woman who is this mature, powerful character in a time where, there weren't a lot of good roles for, well, I'm going to say older women, but like Candice Bergen was not that old when she was in this show, but she wasn't a 20-something. And it was this show about this powerful woman and how she can be successful without, the help of a man or being married or all that stuff. So I think it's an important show for the time. And I think it will resonate with some of the judges, even though I know at least one or two of these judges who are going to give me a thumbs down for it, but I think it's a strong pick in an otherwise very weak crop of TV shows.
It is a weak crop of TV shows, and another reason why I think I need to take one. It's funny because in the last couple of weeks I mentioned that I wasn't a huge fan of this show, and it's also a Canadian show. So this could really hurt me here, but there's so few shows left. I'm going to go with The Kids in the Hall.
Good pick. That was the very next one on my list, but I
kind of
thought I would sneak through because I didn't think you'd pick it because I know you didn't really care for the show.
But and again, like you've made picks on TV shows. You're like, I didn't even watch these, but it's about putting together the best, sort of representation of that year and shows that debuted that year. And yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Kids in the Hall, but I think it'll resonate. I think people understand it for what it is, and it's. People have fond memories of it. So I think I'll go with that. I'm happy with that.
All right. So it's back to me, right?
Yes.
Sorry, that was your 5th pick?
That was my 5th pick. That's correct.
Chris 5. All right. I think I need to go back to music. And, oh, man. I think I'm really torn between these two, but honestly, I don't think you would pick either one of them, so I'm probably good to pick them in either order. I'm going to go with... I want to, but I don't want to. Okay, screw it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go with Simply Irresistible by Robert Palmer.
Damn it. That was my next pick.
Okay, good.
Good for you.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for some standouts from '88, and when I was going through the list, it's funny when I often look to like the top 100 songs of the year just to get a glance at like what were the biggest songs, and as I go down the list, I sort of start humming the songs to myself, and that to me is part of the key. Is if I can't sort of immediately call to my mind how the song goes or some of the lines to the song, then I know, okay, this isn't big enough. And when this one was on the list, even though it was a lot farther down the list, when it came on, it just jumped right out, and I'm humming it, and I was like, no, this has staying power. This is a song you hear all the time on the 80s channels. So,
no, that's good because I mean, it went up to number 2 on the charts. He won a Grammy, and the thing was that music video, like with the models and the tight dresses and the lipstick and the cleavage and everything, it was like iconic.
And that, you know me, I'm a big music video guy, so that's part of it. To me, it was I'm doing the music pick, but it also has the video component to it that you sort of get for free when you pick the music. So
I feel like I need to get another song then. And that was the one I really wanted. So I'm going to go with another song that kind of, again, it's different for me because, I mean, I was 18 years old in 1988. So I lived through this stuff. And when I look at the songs and I think about what are the songs that take me back to there, but one that really does is Angel of Harlem by U2. And so I'm going to go with that one.
I had Desire from the Rattle and Hum on my list, but I opted not to put Angel of Harlem because I thought I was the only one that really liked this song. I know a lot of people that like U2 that do not feel this is one of their strongest songs, but personally, I like that pick for the draft. I'm not sure how well that might resonate with the judges for you, but
I think at least when I'm looking at 1988, when I see REM and U2, I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with that. So I'm happy.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Okay. Well, I got 2, and 1, so I guess that's sort of either I cap off one of the categories or I go back to movies. I kind of wanted you to close off movies just because I've got 3, and I'm not sure which one of these ones you may want, and I just sort of wanted you to help me narrow the field a bit. So I'm going to pull a movie that we reviewed on this show that I did not really care for, but I know a lot of people hold it as a special place in their heart, and I'm going with Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Nice. I'm surprised you picked that. And again, it goes like just to your point earlier, you don't have to necessarily like the pick.
Yeah.
You know, to pick it, because I remember when we did this, you didn't like it. So,
well, and I thought that might be your third and final pick. So part of my strategy is not only do I think it's a strong pick, but if it can potentially hurt your drafting a little bit, then so much the better.
Right. Yeah, I think it was on my list, but it wasn't. I don't think the one I'm going to go with. The one I'm going to go with is the one that really it came out late in the year, so it didn't finish top of the box office that year. But if you adjust it for movies that were released in 1988, it was the number 1 grossing film, and it was also nominated for 8 Academy Awards, and it took home 4, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Screenplays. So got to go with Rain Man.
Good. Honestly, I didn't want to pick it, and I was waiting for you to pick it, so now I have a good excuse not to pick it.
There you go. So movies are sewed up for me, so you can just let that one go.
Well, and I'm glad I had 2 other movies on my list. Either of them could also be my personal pick. So I was like, okay, well, I'll see where that lands. All right. So do I want to close out music or TV? I think my TV pick's going to be, actually, I think both my picks are going to be, I think we're pretty much staying out of each other's way now, because I don't think there's going to be any real overlap. Yeah. So I'm going to sort of veer left a little bit here for my music pick. I'm going to do something that is very 1988, but may hurt me in the end. I'm going from the Cocktail soundtrack, Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Oh, nice. I was on my list. I was going to pick it.
Yeah, it's, again, I don't know if it's a strong enough song, but I figure my other 2 are both, in my mind, very strong picks. So I thought, well, my third song can be a little bit of a left swerve. There was a lot of like big metal bands that did like power ballads in 1988, and I just couldn't bring myself to put any of those on the list, even though some of them were big songs from 1988. So anyway, that's it. I'm done with the music then.
No, that's a good pick. And I'm like you, like it's not so much that I really love that song, but it was so popular, and it was a real product of its time. It was so popular at the time that Bill Cosby got Bobby McFerrin to do the intro to the Cosby Show in '88.
Yeah.
Remember he did that like kind of intro thing. It's just, so I think it's a good pick.
Well, I mean, in the moment, and Robin Williams is in the video. It's just, honestly, I can never remember the name of the third guy, but it's Bob McFerrin, Robin Williams, and then the other guy. and they're just goofing around and having a good time. And it's like, it's not a fantastic video, but it's memorable. And just the whole idea of, here's this guy who doesn't use any for real music instruments. Every sound you hear is coming out of him. And it was different, and it was unique. And you hear it on the 80s channels even to this day. Like there's just something about it that's so memorable. And again, it's Don't Worry, Be Happy. It's a very uplifting song with an uplifting message. So it has that staying power. So that was a big part of why I picked it.
No, good one. Well, there's been some controversy with some of our picks when it comes to TV, because you and I are always debate, like, just because a show debuts in a certain year, and then what if it endures for like 20 years? Then you don't really associate it with 1988. But this is one case where I'm willing to take a chance on this, because this show has morphed over the years into so many different incarnations that this one I think of the late 80s. And that's Live with Regis and Kathy Lee.
Okay.
So
Did that version of it debut?
It debuted in 1988. Live with Regis and Kathy Lee debuted. And it sort of brought Regis Philbin to a national audience, because he was hosting a show called The Morning Show before that, just in New York. And I know Kathy Lee Gifford was pretty annoying to some people, and rightly so. But they just worked together so well. And they had this interplay with them. And remember their producer, Gelman. And it's, like I say, it's evolved over the years, and then they brought in all these other different people. So now it's to the point where I think it's like Ryan Seacrest and Kelly Ripa or something like that. But back in 1988, it was Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee Gifford. And so I'm going with that.
Wow. That wasn't, I remember seeing it on the list and just scrolling past it. But in all fairness, you're absolutely right that this is a really weak crop of TV shows. So I'm going to stick with TV for my pick as well. I've got 3 shows on my list here. I didn't watch any of them. I don't remember any of them really being popular, like really popular with like people our age. It's more like they were either for older folks, or in the one case, just sort of an offbeat show that has sort of gained life after the fact. I'm debating between, I'll just talk it out to you, because you've already got your TV.
Yeah, mine's sewn up. You can talk away all you want.
Empty Nest, which was a spinoff of The Golden Girls. Again, it's a show about
Richard Mulligan, and Dinah Manoff, and who else was in it? It was what's her face?
I can't remember. I can picture them, but I can't remember it. But yeah, again, not really a show. I watched Golden Girls, but that's it. Kirsty McNichol.
That's it.
Yeah. The other one that I'm looking at is Dear John with Judd Hirsch. And again,
I never even watched it.
It ran 5 years. Yeah. I knew a few people that watched it, but it was mostly like, my parents really like this. And it was about a guy whose wife left him, and then he went to a support group, and it was like the family he made through the support group.
Right.
Again, never really watched it. But the one that I think I'm going to go with here, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, yes.
It's a little bit of sort of a cult show.
It is.
It has gained sort of life after the fact, and they've done a few movies. And for those who maybe aren't that familiar with the show, and again, I've never watched a full episode, but they would show like these old B movies or B serial type shows, or these old black and whites, and they would have like these 3 dark silhouettes like superimposed over top of the thing, and they were supposed to be like 3 guys sitting in a movie theater, and they would yell out commentary at the screen, and they would point out foibles, and it basically was like an audio commentary before audio commentaries became a thing. And the few clips I've seen have been pretty funny, but I imagine like any show, it has its ups and downs. But I think that I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to go with Mystery Science Theater 3000, and hope that at least a couple of our judges are familiar with the property and have seen a couple of the episodes and care for it enough to give me the points.
Nice. So I got to get a song in here. One more song. What do I want to do? Didn't always love this song, but I tell you what, some people really did. Yep. And I think if you hear this song, or at least see this song on the list, you're going to think, yeah, this is 80s. I'm going to go with Fast Car by Tracy Chapman.
Wow. That's not the one I thought you were going to go with. I had that on my list, but it was a ways down.
What do you think I was going to take?
Well, you still got a personal pick left, but the one that I couldn't bring myself to pick was Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison, which was the #1 song of the year.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't bring myself to put a power ballad from a hair metal band on the list. It just, yes, it's definitely an 80s thing, but I think there's sort of backlash and stigma to it now where I think if they were on the list, people would be like, that guy picked that? I'm not going with that list. So, but no, I like your pick. It's a little out of left field.
It's more critical.
Yes.
So
yeah.
It was a critical hit and people seem to like it. And I still think that, if you saw it on the list, you think, yeah, that's a good pick. Like I hope that the judges are going to like it. So I'm going to go with that.
All right.
So you got one movie left.
Yeah.
What are you going to go with?
So when I had 2 movies to pick and I went with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I didn't even want that movie in that pick, but I figured you were going there next, so I needed to nab it. The one I really wanted, and I'm shocked it made it all the way through to number 9, is Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
That I had that as I had Die Hard as my first pick, Coming to America, which you picked, Big, which you picked, and then Beetlejuice was my number 4, but I ended up skipping over it to try and nab their Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But that gives me that's 3, 3, and 3, right? So all we need is a personal pick.
Personal pick now. I mentioned before about shows that debut and then last for a long time, and how it's kind of tough to pick those ones sometimes. And I already picked one, but I think I'm going to pick another for my personal pick just because I love this show so much, and even the old one. And that is Whose Line Is It Anyway? It started in 1988 with Clive Anderson in the UK. And the thing is, like a lot of TV shows, the first couple episodes, not very good, But eventually, it really started to pick up steam. And then when they added Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery as regular performers, I thought the show was great. Obviously, it was eventually adapted for American audiences, in 99 or something like that, for Drew Carey did the show. But the original is where it all started. And I remember coming across this show back on the Comedy Network, and I loved it right from the get-go. I was always a big improv guy from my days in the theater, and I've done a lot of improv. And so I remember seeing this show. I was like, oh my God, there's an improvisation show on television? You gotta be kidding me. And so even though Clive Anderson wasn't the greatest host, and they had some performers on the show that were kind of iffy at times, the show is still good. It's still not as good as the Drew Carey version, which really kind of kicked things up a notch, but I thought it was good. And because of my love of improv, I'm going with Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Nice. Well, I'm definitely not picking a TV show for my personal pick. This crop is just
I know
2 thumbs down. And as we've already sort of discussed, the music, there were some good songs, but none of them really stand out. None of them have that sort of personal connection to me that I feel they would fit into the personal pick, other than the Bon Jovi Bad Medicine, which I've already picked as one of my for realsies picks. So it sort of leaves me with movies. And now I got a couple of movies that came out in '88 that I have sort of that personal connection to. So I'm sort of torn between, do I take the one that is most personal versus do I take the one that I think that judges might actually have heard of? But I think I'm just going to do the personal pick, the actual personal pick, not that I would one that I think would work best with the judges, because we want to stay true to the form.
Yeah, because you want to go personal, right?
Yeah. So when I was, I may have told this story before on one of the previous drafts. When I was 16 years old, I won a radio contest back when people listened to the radio, and I won a free trip to Costa Rica for 7 days, all expenses paid, trip for 2 to Costa Rica. And when I went to claim the prize, you had to call in and identify the songs and blah, blah. I did all that stuff. And it was the whole thing. And they on the air, oh, you won the grand prize trip. Yay. Then off the air, the guy's like, let me take down all your personal information. And then when he got to the part about what's your birthday, and I told him, he said, oh, dude, you're not 18. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He said, you have to be 18 to win this prize. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Do you know how hard it was for me to identify all those songs? Come on, you just announced on the air that I won it. And so they said, okay, if you can get someone over 18 to claim the prize on your behalf, you can go with them as their +1. And I was like, perfect. So I had my 18-year-old cousin claim the prize. So he and I went to Costa Rica for a week.
Nice.
And
is he the one that used to bring you over and watch all those R-rated movies?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good cousin.
When
right
we had this great vacation. When we were in Costa Rica, on my first day, I got really, really sunburned, like red like a Coke can sunburned. So the second day in Costa Rica,
I thought you were going to say I got really drunk. I'm like, you're 16, dude.
Yeah, no. So the second day in Costa Rica, I had to stay in my room the whole day in the air conditioning, just slathered with lotion all over myself because I was like in so much pain. I had to literally get a shot to boost my immune system. You're
from Canada. You're a pasty white guy from Canada going to Costa Rica. You got to wear the sunscreen, man.
Right. So how does this relate to where we're going?
Exactly.
We only had 2 English-speaking channels in the room.
Okay.
One of them was CNN, and this was during the time of the first Gulf War. So that's all that was on CNN. That got old after about 5 minutes. The other one was a movie channel, but they only had like 2 movies that they kept showing on repeat. And one of them was R-rated, so you only got to see that one at night. And since I was in the room all day, I watched Dirty Rotten Scoundrels 6 times in a row. And then by the end of the trip, I had probably seen the movie a dozen times. I can quote all the dialogue. I know all the inflections. And not like I had been familiar with this movie. I don't know if I'd actually seen it in its entirety before that time, but you really learn to appreciate the humor of some of these movies when you have a chance to watch them over and over again. Sometimes a funny movie gets less funny, but this one to me just got better and better with each viewing. And to this day, every time Dirty Rotten Scoundrels comes on and I watch it, I laugh. And it just reminds me of that time when I was 16 years old and I won this free trip to Costa Rica and I went with my cousin. We had this great time. But yeah, that's definitely my personal pick. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, 1988. Michael Caine and Steve Martin. So good.
Nice. All right. So you wanted me to just do a quick review?
Yeah. Recap the list for us, please.
All right. So you want me to do like my movies and then your movies and then my TV shows, your TV shows?
Perfect. I love it.
All right. Yep. So for the movie category, I had Coming to America, Big, and Rain Man. And you had Die Hard, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Beetlejuice. And then for TV shows, I had Roseanne, The Kids in the Hall, and Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. And your TV shows were The Wonder Years, Murphy Brown, and Mystery Science Theater 3000. My songs were Stand by REM, Angel of Harlem by U2, and Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. And your songs were Bad Medicine, Bon Jovi, Simply Irresistible by Robert Palmer, and Don't Worry, Be Happy, Bobby McFerrin. My personal pick was Whose Line Is It Anyway, the TV show, and your personal pick was a movie, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Who do you think won the draft?
Honestly, I think we both kind of pooped the bed on this one. I think that
really
I think we both have some bad picks, but I think that's not necessarily because we drafted poorly. It's just because there was not a lot of great offerings in some of these categories, especially towards the end.
I think it's just we drafted what we could draft. Like it wasn't a strong year for pop culture. So,
but I think again, it'll be hard it's always hard to anticipate what the judges are going to go with, especially with things like the music category. To me, I think is a real wild card with this one because if some of our judges are a little younger and they don't have some of those same 1988 personal connections to these songs, they may not feel as strongly and they may not see some of these as such as a good a pick as you and I think they are. So I think this one's going to be close. How many judges we got? 9 judges?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be down to 5 to 4. Like I think it's going to one vote is going to make the difference here. So.
Yeah, it could be very, very close.
So I just want to remind all the judges about what you said about them after the last one. So for those,
about how that's right, how I love them more than anything else in the whole wide world.
No, I think
how they're all beautiful people with like swimmers' bodies and beautiful, wonderful people.
No, I seem to recall there was a lot of things said that had to be bleeped, and that was a very long bleep. So, judges judge with your heart, but don't forget when things didn't go his way, Chris had some choice words that the editors would not let through. So
thank God for the censors. Oh my God,
that's on you. But you do you.
Oh man, yeah, you had to bring that up, didn't you? You got to play dirty with me, I guess. So that's the way it goes.
You're the one who's always kissing up. I just figure. You can't kiss up one week and then poop on them the next week and expect everything to be golden. So,
but it's a comedy show. That's what we do. Okay, Here we go.
Fun with Caveman.
All right, my man. 1988. You know, we said it wasn't a great year for pop culture, but, you know, not a great year for movies. But there certainly was a lot of movies that year. And with movies come quotes. So bad.
Hey, you sang it.
I know. It's so funny. I'm listening to it. Good God. Who wrote this? Who sang? Oh, it was me. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be giving you movie quotes. And you just have to guess the movie that they come from. Super easy to do, right?
This always sounds like it should be a walk in the park, and I inevitably blow it on a couple of really easy ones.
This is going to be even easier because it's all the movies are from 1988. So you should be able to, it's a cakewalk, right? All right, so I'm going to give you a movie quote. Name the movie it came from. They're all from 1988. You should get 10 out of 10 on this one, okay?
I hope so.
Are you ready? The first one.
Oh, I'm ready.
Some of these are so easy. I mean, come on. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Sorry, am I supposed to give you the character or the movie?
Just the movie.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes, Jessica Rabbit said that, voiced by Kathleen Turner. Okay, you mean sleepover? Okay, but I get to be on top.
That was from Big.
Yes, Tom Hanks said that to Elizabeth Perkins. Okay, it's 10 minutes to Wapner.
Oh, Rain Man.
9 million terrorists in the world, and I gotta kill one with smaller feet than my sister.
Yeah, that was Die Hard.
See, these are all easy, okay? Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo.
Oh, didn't you just say this was, it's from Coming to America? No?
Oh, it's from The Naked Gun.
Oh, The Naked Gun.
Remember,
that guy's a baseball player, isn't he?
Yes. He says he's the opera singer, Enrico Palazzo. And then he goes behind the plate and he's the umpire. And then a guy in the stands stands up. The actor that played the guy in the stands was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And he said, hey, everyone, look, it's Enrico Palazzo. Anyway. Okay. Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Well, the obvious answer is Child's Play. Did that really come out in 1988?
1988, the first one.
I didn't even see that on the. Not that I would have picked it, but I didn't even see that in my research.
Imagine a country so free, one can throw glass on the street.
Oh, that's got to be Coming to America.
Okay, this one's a two-parter because you got to understand the context of it. So one character says, "What does 3 up and 3 down mean to you, airman?" And the other guy says, "End of an inning."
Was that Bull Durham?
No, it was Good Morning Vietnam.
That was 1988 as well. Wow.
Yes,
I missed a couple of big ones then.
All right, how about here's one. It's showtime. It's showtime.
Oh, is that Beetlejuice?
And the last one. What's Mick like in bed?
Jeez. I don't. Fish Called Wanda.
No, that was Crocodile Dundee 2.
Oh.
I thought Mick.
The esteemed sequel.
Exactly.
I thought that would have been your personal pick for sure.
No, I actually didn't mind the sequel. I thought it was okay. So it wasn't that bad. All right, you didn't do too bad. I mean, you got a few of them. You got the majority of them anyway. Okay, so like you mentioned, we will send our lists off to our esteemed panel of judges, who I love more than anyone else in the whole wide world. And they're going to vote. And next time out, we're going to announce the winner. We're going to see who gets possession of our trophy, the Funko Fonzie. And then next time out, we're going to come back and we're going to review a movie from this draft year. So it's over to me to pick a movie from 1988. And you know, I think you're going to really like this one because I know it's not Christmas, Derek, it's the summer, but is it a Christmas movie? I don't know. It was released in July of 1988. So we're going to go back and watch Die Hard. And we are going to come back and we're going to review Die Hard next time out. What do you think?
Nice. I think there's going to be a lot of patting ourselves on the back about how much we like Die Hard. So,
but there's lots of things to talk about. Is it a Christmas movie? Is it not? Like, how does the movie hold up with all the action in it? Like nowadays, with all of these, like, you know, movies that you make me watch with this Marvel crap. Like, does this movie hold up? Or is it just like, oh, it's kind of boring, you know, compared to movies these days? So this is what we got to talk about.
I'm going to give you some homework then.
Sure.
I challenge you, come to the podcast next week and have one or two pieces of trivia about Die Hard for me that you don't think I already know. Because I know a lot about this movie.
All right. Well,
and likewise, I'll try and dig up some behind the scenes trivia, something or other, and I'll throw it at you to see if you know it. And hey, maybe we already know it, but if nothing else, so listeners will have some really out of left field trivia that they
so we'll try to stump each other with some trivia questions about Die Hard.
Yeah.
Next week. Okay, that sounds good. We might even just do that for a trivia second at the end. So.
I don't know if we'd be able to get enough questions to fill the full segment, but
we'll see.
We'll try.
All right. So we are going to watch Die Hard. We're going to come back next week. We're going to review the movie. And until then, this is Chris McBrien on behalf of myself and Derek Myers saying thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World, the pop cultural podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.